Sums of consecutive integers. Okay, so we want to find the sum of the 6 consecutive integers, and it's going to be a total of 387. So what you want to do is you want to write out 6 consecutive integers. So we'll start with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now let's change these letters. Let's go ahead and call 1x. Now to go from 1 to 2, you have to add 1 to the starting 1 to get 2. So when we come down here, we'll just say x plus the 1. For us to go to the 3, we have to add 1 plus 2 to get 3. So we're going to say this is x plus 2. To get 4, starting from 1, you have to add 3 because 3 plus 1 is 4. So we call this x to the third. Now you begin to see a pattern here because they're plus 1, plus 2, plus 3. This one should be plus 4. And again, we can check that. 1 plus 4 is 5. So we can say x plus 4. And then to do 6, 1 plus 5 is 6. So this is x to the plus 5. And this is going to all equal to 387. So now what you want to do now is you want to go ahead and these gaps here, like from in front of these x's here, just write down plus signs. Put down a plus sign, a plus sign, and a plus sign. Now let's go ahead and count up our x's here. So let's count the x's. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Notice in the problem it said sum of 6 consecutive integers, so you're going to have a total of 6 x's, which you physically do, and then when the problem says 6 consecutive, it should be 6 x's. Now as for these numbers left over, let's go and add these up. 1 plus 2 is 3, 3 plus 3 is 6, 6 plus 4 is 10, and 10 plus 5 is 15. So now I'm going to write plus 15 next to the 6x. And this is equal to 387. So now I'm going to use my BCD rule. So I'm going to circle the letters and box the numbers. So now I want to subtract 15, so only the box gets the minus 15. Cross this out. This gives me with 6x. And this is going to be 3, 7, 2. So now if I check this, I have one circle and I have one box. So I have one circle and I have one box there. So now what I want to do is I want to go ahead and divide this by 6 now. So divide each side by 6. So I can cross this out. This gives me x. And if I pull up the calculator here, what I'll get is, let's see, 372 divided by 6. So 372 divided by 6. And this gives me 62. Now, when I look at the question, what the question is asking, it's saying the 6th consecutive number. So right here in the problem, if I find the 6, right below the 6 is x plus 5. So that's what we want to use. So we're going to use x plus 5 because that would give us the 6th consecutive term. So now we already know that x is equal to 62. So now we can just say 62 plus 5, and this is going to equal to 67. So 67 should be my consecutive number here. And again, remember I start with the problem. I see I have 6 consecutive integers, so I just list out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. To go from 1 to 2, you add 1. To go from 1 to 3, you add 2. 1 to 4 is 3. 1 to 5 is 4. And 1 to 6 is 5. I went ahead and called each x. I went and called the one x so that I can make an equation. So instead of writing down the 2, I write it as x plus 1. The 3 is x plus 2. The 4 is x plus 3. The 5 is x plus 4. And the 6 is x plus 5. Next, I counted up my x's. Notice it says 6 consecutive, so I should have 6 x's, which I do. I total up the numbers after the x's, which was 15. Went ahead, did BCD, found x to be 62. Now it mentioned what the sixth term was, or the sixth consecutive number. Well, that formula there is x plus 5. So I replace the x with 62. I take 62 plus the 5 to get the 67. Okay, next question. I want to do the sum of 4 consecutive integers. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4. Call the x1. This is now to go from 1 to 2, you have to add 1. To go from 1 to 3, you have to add 2. To go from 1 to 4, you have to add 3. And this is going to be 354. Now the spaces in front of the x's, just go back and put a plus sign in front. Now we're going to count up our x's here. Now since it's 4 consecutive, we should have 4 x's. And we do. Now for the numbers, we have 1 plus 2 is 3, and 3 plus 3 is 6. So we're going to say plus 6 is equal to 354. So now I'm going to use BCD. So I'm going to circle my letter, box my number, box my number. Now I'm going to subtract off the 6. So I'm now going to get 4x is equal to 348. Okay, now notice there's one circle and there's one box. Divide by 4. So when I divide by 4, this clears out. So now I'm going to take 348 and divide by 4. So we're going to take 348, divide by 4, and you see we get 87. So I come down here and put in my 87. Now when I read what the question is asking, it's asking about the second consecutive number. Well, the second consecutive number is x plus 1. So x plus 1. We already know that x is equal to 87, so I can replace the x with an 87, add the 1, and I get 88. So 88 should be the number that I'm looking for here. Now remember, this was 4 consecutive numbers, so I wrote down my model, which was 1, 2, 3, 4. Just write down an example. Go ahead and call the x 1. Remember, to go from 1 to 2, you add 1, so it's x plus 1. To go from 1 to 3, you have to add 2, so it's x plus 2. To go from 1 to 4, you have to add 3, so it becomes x plus 3. Now notice there is a pattern here. So not only do you start with an x each time, but you go plus 1, plus 2, plus 3. Notice it said 4 consecutive integers, so I realized I should have 4 x's, which I do. I add the remaining numbers that were beside the x. That gave me the plus 6. Did BCD, found x to be 87. Now they asked about the second number. Well, the second number to sequence is x plus 1. So I replaced the x with the 87, add 1, and I got 88. Okay, the next one, we want to do the sum of 6 consecutive integers. So 6 consecutive integers. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. This is x. This would be x plus 1. To go from 1 to 3, that's x plus 2. 1 to 4 would be x plus 3. 1 to 5 would be x plus 4. 1 to 6 would be x plus 5. My overall total is 393. Go back, put down a plus sign in between, in front of those x's there. Now let's count how many x's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have 6 x's, which we expected because it said 6 consecutive. Now let's do our total of the numbers. 1 plus 2 is 3, 3 plus 3 is 6, 3 plus 4 is 10, plus 5 is 15. So this is a plus 15 is equal to 393. Let's go BCD. So circle, box, and box. Go ahead, subtract by 15. So when we do so, we get 6x. Cross this out. So that's going to be 13. 13 minus 5, that's 8. This now becomes 8. So 8 minus 1 is 7. So this becomes 378. So that becomes 378. Now when I check this, I'll circle my letter, box my number, divide both sides by 6. Cross this out, that gives me x. Now let's take a look at the calculator. So we're going to go 378 divided by 6. So 378. So 378, divide this by 6. So that gives me 63. So my total would be 63. Now I want the third number. Notice right here it says the third number. So if I look where the 3 is, right below the 3 is x plus 2. So that's my formula. So I know that x is equal to 63. My third one is x plus 2. So I'm going to say 63 plus 2. So 63 plus 2 is 65. So let's check that. Put in 65. Now remember, this was 6 consecutive numbers. So I just list out my example: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Start with the x. To go from 1 to 2, you add 1. Then go from 1 to 3, you add 2. 4, you add 3. 5, you add 4. And 6, you add 5. So when you set your equation up, you're going to go x. Then you're going to say x plus 1, x plus 2, x plus 3, x plus 4, and x plus 5. And again, your total is 393. And then I do BCD. I got that x is equal to 63. The sequence for the third one is x plus 2, so you take 63 plus 2 is 65. Okay, the next one, we want the sum of 3 consecutive even numbers this time. So now it's even. So this is 2, this is 4, and this is 6. So we call this x. To go from 2 to 4, you have to add 2. It's a distance of 2, so we say x plus 2. To go from that 2 to the 6, you have to add 4. And you see that we're counting by 2's. So really, if you're finding consecutive of any even numbers, you're going to go by 2. You're going to go add 2, add 4, add 6. Even if you're finding odd numbers, you're still going to do the same thing. You're going to add by a 2 and by a 4 and a 6. Because your distance from even numbers is a distance of 2. Your distance from odd numbers is also a distance of 2. So for those, you're always going to add by 2. So now these numbers here are equal to 270. So put down a plus sign and put down a plus sign. Notice it's 3 consecutives, and if we count our x's, we should have 3 x's, and we do. For the numbers, we just take 2 plus 4, 2 plus 4 is 6, and this is equal to 270. Remember, I'm going to do BCD, so I'm going to circle, and I'm going to box, and I box. So now what I want to do is I want to subtract. I want to move that box out of that 6. So I'm going to say minus 6 and then a minus 6. So I get 3x, cross this out. That's going to be 264. So that's 264. Now I'm going to divide by 3. So I'm going to divide, actually let me circle and box. So I'm going to divide by 3, then I'm going to divide by 3. So I'm going to take 264 and divide that by 3. So 264, divide that by 3. So that gives me 88. So x is 88. Okay, now we want to find the first consecutive number. Well, we know that x is equal to 88, and the first consecutive number is just a single x. So therefore, again, that x will become 88, because you want to find the very first number. So the very first number is 88. So let's check this, and it's correct. Now, remember, we got even numbers here, so we go 2, 4, and 6, and you start with the x, then you got to go from 2 to 4, you have to add 2. Starting at 2, to go from 2 to 6, you got to add 4. So we have an x for the 2, an x plus 2 for the 4, and an x plus 4 for the 6. The overall total is 270. I went ahead and used BCD, got 88. They only wanted the first number to sequence, so that's just x, so it is 88. Now remember, if the question read odd numbers, you would do the same thing, believe it or not. This would be a 1, this would be a 3, and a 5. And if you go from 1 to 3, that's a plus 2. From 1 to 5 is a plus 4. So again, you're going to actually use this same sequence for the odd numbers. So your setup in your equation would be similar on the odd numbers, where you're going to go an x, then an x plus 2, x plus 4, and so forth.